Hey, NL110, Ensign Alex Wong here again with Captain Mullaney. In our last episode, we talked about what an emotion is. We also hear about the word emotional intelligence. Some people can have good emotional intelligence or bad emotional intelligence. Sir, what exactly is emotional intelligence?
Yeah, great question. It's pretty interesting because we use one word, emotional intelligence, once again to probably talk about a couple different things. And so, first and foremost, if you're talking about emotional intelligence, are you talking about being intelligent about your own emotions, or being intelligent about other people's emotions? I think that's a key distinction, and it's not necessarily exactly the same. Um, Obviously, we feel our own emotions, but we don't feel other people's emotions. And so, from an intelligence perspective, I'm going to have to be able to look at cues, to try to discern and decipher what's going on in somebody else.
So, sir, you talk about emotional intelligence can be about yourself as well as other people. But what exactly does one have to do to be emotionally intelligent?
So when I think about emotional intelligence, I think about intelligence in general. So an intelligence is a optimized cognitive function, right? That I think that's a way that we can use the word intelligence in a way that makes sense. And so if you think about what would emotional intelligence be, you can think about how could the mind be optimized to think about emotions, the emotions that it's having. And so in some ways, I think when you think about that, what would be optimal for the mind? It would be for the mind to be able to essentially understand what's happening to it because of emotions, and then be able to make good decision about what you want to do next, either as a result of the emotions, or sometimes it's going to be in spite of the emotions, because you don't, just because you're angry, you can't go around punching everybody, right? So sometimes there's going to be a regulation of the emotions.
So what I'm hearing is this is almost like a skill rather than something like a talent you're born with when a boy.
Right. Yeah. I think with personality, different personality types, we often think about it as an ability. Some people are just more people, or are more emotional people, etc. But if you think about it as optimized functioning, you can then break it down into, okay, so what would be the optimum functions that someone would have if they were emotionally intelligent? And what we've identified, and when I say we, I mean the scientific community in general, and thinking about emotional intelligence. Um, what the scientific community has identified is that there's really kind of four discrete skills when it comes to emotional intelligence. The first would be just the ability to recognize that you're having an emotion in the first place. So perceiving an emotion. And once you perceive that you're having an emotion and you're consciously aware that you're having an emotion, do you have the ability to understand why that emotion is being dredged up inside of you? If you understand why the emotion is being dredged up inside of you, what do you want to do about it? So, do you want to go with the emotion and use that emotion as a source of power? Or do you want to perhaps deregulate that emotion and turn it off? And then the final skill, kind of the ultimate skill of emotional intelligence, and you talk about optimized cognitive function, right? The optimum way to be a human is, what if you could have the right emotion at the right time all of the time, right? So could you actually use emotions and generate the emotions that you need in each moment to help you function in the world? And people don't necessarily think of motivation as an emotion, but I think there's a lot of reason to maybe think about motivation being an emotion.
Wow. So when you're optimizing, you're almost developing a mindset or an action script in your head to like push you in the right or how to react in the right way, so to speak.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, so really what we want, and what we've talked about throughout the course, is system one versus system two, right? So we don't want to be stimulus response machines. We want to be creatures that function with intentionality, right? And because emotions are an automatic function inside of us, if we're going to function with intentionality, then we need to essentially receive those emotions and then make a decision about them and move forward from there.
So emotional intelligence is something that you can develop.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we could. I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't learn to perceive your emotions better. I don't think there's any reason why, with practice and reflection, you couldn't learn to understand why you're having emotions better. I think with practice, I think you should be able to learn to accommodate your emotions. And maybe at the highest point, we think about leaders, we think about great coaches and people who can step in and generate emotion in other people and get them excited to go perform excellently in the big game and so forth, right? So I think that's an example of using emotion specifically in a leadership function.
So in our next episodes, let's talk about how you develop your EQ. Thank you, sir, for your time.